Hello, storytellers. Welcome to Bound by Words. I'm really excited to get some productivity sprints done with you guys today. I'm probably going to pick up close to where I left off last week. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make a whole lot of headway because I only have this kitten's getting ready to destroy the whole desk again. But I only had about 2 days off and I got booked up pretty much with family stuff. But I was able to go back into the plotter outline that we were looking at last week, and I finished doing some like renaming of parts and stuff. And I'm still really just liking the whole plotter setup. I did go back in and I picked out at the end of our sprint last week, like some main character names. I definitely have like a female MC name that I really like, so I'm settling on a male one. But I was going back through and adding just some like notes and stuff. I don't have full character breakdowns, and I definitely want to show you guys later how cool their like character like attribute section is, because I was kind of pleasantly surprised by that. But before we get into anything serious, I want to get a warm-up sprint started so that we can get our projects open and get set up for the day. I know we're already like a little bit late. My goal was to do 1 to 3, and I think like the Mondays moving forward, I'm going to try to keep it really strict 1 to 3. But since we started at like 1:30 today, I'll probably go until 3:30. The issue was I couldn't find my mouse, and I like really need it for my whole like streaming setup. So it was like a whole ordeal for like 15 minutes, but I have it now and I'm ready to rock. And I just have some high hopes for today's productivity. And we have Les back again this week. Hello, hello. I want to know how your project's going. So I'm going to share this 15-minute warm-up sprint. And if you're jumping in, let us know what you're working on in the chat while I do that. I got some crazy energy today, guys. Looking forward to being tongue-tied but productive. There we go. Is it just me or is this blurry? Now that's blurry. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to get this 15-minute timer started. If you're jumping in, let us know what you're working on, and then we can chat and catch up more after the warm-up sprint. See you in 15. All right, that was the end of the first sprint. I spent most of the sprint, the longest 15-minute warm-up sprint ever, fighting with that timer. I don't know what's going on with my internet because everything was working perfectly fine until I started sharing that, and then it like wouldn't let me click away. So I figured out sort of towards the end there that if I stayed with the timer up, that it worked most of the time. So I'm gonna see if I can put the timer up on like another tab and just leave it open. That way, if my internet gets a little bit like funky, it like prioritizes the timer and the stream. So I don't really know how that's gonna affect the productivity today. I hope it won't. I got a couple things squared away for work really quick, and I almost thought that that's why things started crashing, just because I had like an additional window open, but that wasn't a problem last week, so I'm still a little bit bothered by it. I even like I closed like my plotter and everything because I was like, we got to make sure that this can run. So I'm scared that when I open it again, it's gonna freeze up, but hopefully it won't. If it does, I can start doing some brainstorming and planning and stuff on paper anyway. I do think that I want to um, sort of trace out my bullet journal spread for this week because my weeks in my bullet journal start on Monday and I don't have this week's spread done and I really wanted to have it done. And I want to write some like writing goals for planning this outline and like some little milestones throughout it. So, or throughout the week, I mean, like in my planner. So I might just take a moment at the beginning of the next sprint. I think I want to do maybe like 25 or 30 minutes if that sounds good with everybody. But I want to take a couple minutes at the beginning of that sprint and just ink out what I have like penciled out for this week already. That way I can maybe make some like plans and stuff, and then I can get some scrap paper and start brainstorming that way. Still super bothered by the timer thing because I want to show you guys like the cool plotter stuff that I found when I was playing with it this morning and last week. Can you hear me now? It says it says you think I'm muted, but sometimes there's a little bit of a lag when the timer goes down. On my end, it says I'm not muted. But with the way my computer was just acting, I wouldn't really put it past anything. If you're just jumping in or if you've been jumping in and out while I was having some internet issues, let me know what you're working on in the chat. And if you have any goals for the day or the week, I am going to very tentatively try to open Plotter again. Okay, Louisa says I'm not muted. It might just be because the timer ended and my computer was just thinking about things really hard. I might have just been like a little bit of a lag, hopefully. We'll see. I'm opening this program, see if the whole thing crashes. Oh, I'm still muted for less. Aw. Well, we're going to jump back into a productivity sprint soon anyway, so I hope you don't miss out on anything exciting. But also, hello, Lisa. Welcome in. Thanks for confirming that I'm audio. Y'all know what I'm saying. Okay. So I'm pulling out my plotter and nothing crashed, and that's really awesome. If you weren't here last week, I would definitely recommend going through last week's stream and just looking at the parts of plotter that I shared. I'm not going to share the same parts every week because that would just be really exhausting, honestly. But I have been using this program to outline this new story, and I'm still very early on in the process, and I'm just finding new things that I love more and more about it. So let's see. If I share it, if it'll still work. Hopefully it's a separate window, so it will. Yes, nothing crashed, and it looks like it's loading just fine. So this is like my plotter project that I'm working on now. This is the timeline setup that I have, and I do have one of these names I really like. I really like Ellery, and I'm sort of using Rorik as a placeholder. But I decided to, these like said beat 1, 2, 3. I decided to move like the name of what the scene was up to the top here. And then because some of these scenes are going to take up more than one like beat or more than one scene, like I want each of these cards to be one scene, even if it's not like one chapter, if that makes sense. So I decided I'm going to start putting separate scenes. Like if the opening scene is actually more than one scene, if it happens to be, I'm going to start like putting these little dots in between where I can add cards down here. And then I'm probably going to add some cards for subplots as well, but I'm still working that part out. Not really super concerned. We went over some of the notes features that I thought were really cool, and I have just some names listed here that I really liked in their origins and their meanings and stuff like that. And then what I was doing this morning is I was poking into this character section because I'm pretty sure for now, unless I find something better, I'm really liking the name Ellery for my female main character. So I wanted to make her little character card. And this will have like all the characters over here, and you can set different categories. So like she's of course in like the main character category, but you can set like side character or like group cast categories like that. And just plus with the add button. I also like this books and tags thing because you can actually have like series outlines. So you can even put like she's only in book like 1, 3, and 4 or whatever. But what got me that I wanted to show you guys before we jump into another chat was when you go, or another writing sprint, I mean, is when you go into like her card for her character. You can put her name, and like she'll probably have like a last name at some point too, and you can pick her category. You can also choose a thumbnail for those of you who like to include aesthetic images. But there's a note section. This attribute section is a little bit of just like a template thing for you to. I actually never hit the configure button, so I don't really know. Oh, so you can add, like nouns or like tags or whatever to go with her, but the add template section. This is what was getting me excited earlier that I kept clicking in. There are all these different templates that you use to either talk about or describe characters right in Plotter. And if you go to the screen and you just click on one, it shows you the full template. And then you can choose whether or not you want to add it to your character card. So like there are some of these, like the big 5 personality traits. A lot of people use those whenever they're planning a book. Or I like this character art one, and you can add more than one like template, so it doesn't have to just be one. So I like the idea of using like this character art one that has first impressions, goals, flaws, the aha moment, the action, and the transformation. That, and mixing it with this goal, motivation, conflict one that is the external and internal goals, motivation, and conflicts, because I feel like those are the 2 things that I use the most whenever I am like planning. But you could do 5 stages of grief if there's like some horrible things happening in your book. You can do the 4 temperaments. They even have like the D&D character and monster sheets. And if you hit choose, it adds the template. So I'll do it up here to character arc since I know I kind of want to use that. It adds that template to a new tab right here. So you click on her character card and it'll pull up notes, any attributes I've added, and then I can just go like, oh, here's her character arc thing that I'm planning. Like this is for people who are type A and who really like plan. It's like super in depth. And then in each of the boxes, you can do some like formatting. Like the strike through, I think, is a really awesome feature that not a lot of planning and plotting things have, because it's not like a commonly used feature in writing. I mean, it definitely does have, things that it is really good for. And one of those things is like if you're planning and you change your mind, but you don't want to erase the things that you had already planned. So you might plan a bunch out about a character, and then down the line you're like, I don't actually think she needs this, but like I might change my mind again, like back to the original plan, so I don't want to delete it. You can actually just strike through it and leave it there, and I'm in love with that. So yeah, I am a pantser. If we are unfamiliar, if we haven't met yet, I am a fantasy writer and a full-time editor, actually, but storytelling is really my life, and I don't have a problem with planning. I know there are some people who really like struggle with it, but I'm somebody who like, for the fun and the enjoyment and the hobby of writing, I just like to write. I like to pants things, and I feel like I get more emotionally invested that way. But when I'm treating it more business-like and I'm trying to make strict like word count goals, or maybe I'm participating in a writing challenge, I really like plotting. But also as a person, like how I mentioned my planner earlier, and I wanted to put some writing goals for throughout the week in it. As a person, I do really good with plans and lists and organizing things. I don't know why, it just like scratches like a certain itch in my brain that I really like. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'm getting so excited about Plotter in general, or excited about planning stories. But I also think even if you're not writing stories and you just plan one, and then by the end of the planning process, you are so sick of thinking of the story that you sort of just shelf it and you start planning another. Even that process, I think, does a lot for your like creative muscles. Getting into the practice of planning those stories is almost like how in like middle school or like later grade school, when you start working on like writing essays, everyone follows that same template where it's like, well, what's your topic? What are your 3 body paragraphs? Like, what's your conclusion? And you do that like outline for, I mean, I don't know if everyone did this, but they made us do just those outlines for like dozens of different topics. Even if we weren't writing the essay, we were just practicing doing the outline so that we had a good idea of how essays are supposed to work, so that we don't have to outline as extensively in the future. So somebody who likes emotionally to not have an outline and who likes to just write, it's kind of fun, almost like a mental exercise to go through and work with outlines. So yeah, I think that this character template thing is just like really neat. Yeah, Louisa, as Louisa said, it is really cool. So I've been working with Plotter, and it is a one-time purchase subscription. I think they have a yearly option, but it seems like it is a lot cheaper to just do like the one-time, like lifetime subscription, and you can pick how many devices you use. But I really like, so I can add her character arc, and then I can go back in and I can say, okay, well, I have another template I want to use. And I think that this is awesome, especially for like the 5 stages of grief. Like, what if your character's not in grief for the whole book, but there's a very important part of the book where they are experiencing that? You can include that. So that's why I like having more than one tab. Like, it's not like one and done. Like, you can really just keep stacking things on. I also think it's kind of just fun to read some of these, like online dating profile. Yeah, and it really just gives you like a whole thing to fill out. And I know there are a lot of writers who really, really like doing stuff like that for their characters just for fun. You know, if you're doing like a sweet little rom-com, then this might just set the vibes perfectly to get you like writing or to help you like meet your characters. Some people like to create their characters and some people just like to meet them and let like things play out. And I feel like for me, it's different for project to project. I feel completely paralyzed without an outline. I am almost jealous of people who feel that way because I think like the people in my life that I know who get that, like I need an outline, usually are very efficient writers, and they always seem very organized, even not just with the outline, but even with the writing itself. I mentioned last week that I have no software loyalty when it comes to drafting, and I kind of like having a blank page. So sometimes I'm writing in Word, sometimes it's Google Docs, sometimes it's for the words, like writing games or whatever. I feel like people who say like they're paralyzed without an outline are usually also just generally more organized, and it's something I'm always envious of. You know, when I'm working with somebody else, like on somebody else's novel, I have like an incredible system of like workflow down where it's like, well, I need to create my style sheet. I need to like make these copies of the file before I touch anything. I need to take these notes as I go. And I'm very like logic minded and organized in that sense. But when I'm writing for myself, it's just like everything's fair game. And I think part of that's freeing. It's definitely chaotic energy. I'm like, let's put on some lo-fi music, light a candle, and make some bad decisions. But it is a lot of fun and I like it. So I want to jump into another rating productivity sprint, unless you guys have anything pressing to chat about. But I am generally here for another chat when we're done. I'm thinking 25 minutes would be great, or 30 minutes. The trick here is I have to pull up this. I'm going to stop sharing this because I'm scared that the whole thing will crumble if I share it. I'm also trying to do a timer. But I'm going to try to pull up the timer, I think I mentioned, in another window. That way the timer can be in the forefront and the stream can also be in the forefront so that hopefully my computer is prioritizing those things. It is looking a little better now. Things are moving along fine. I'm a little jumpy on my side of the screen on the stream. I hope I'm not on your guys' side. My computer doesn't even need updated or anything, which is the weird thing. Like, it's not telling me it needs to restart. It's just being difficult for the sake of being difficult. So if I can get this timer up, we're going to jump into, I think, a 30-minute sprint. And then at the beginning of the sprint, I'm going to start with doing my planner stuff just to make sure that the computer is working, because I just pulled up the video and it's giving me the little wheel again, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because I really don't have a whole lot of stuff up anymore. I'm going to save and close my plotter for now. Yeah, I have just like a Google Doc, a recipe I bookmarked that I'm scared I'm going to lose. I'll probably close here in a minute. And then this timer that I want to use, that's all that I have up. And then our StreamYard thing. And for some reason, my computer is not having it. I did click on that figure out why thing with the 15-minute one where it was like, your thing is slower. Figure out why that might be happening. And it told me that the internet in the area was like slower than it was supposed to be. Okay. Timer's up. Timer's looking crisp. Let's see if it'll let me share it. Okay, perfect. Nice. I see we have some more people jumping in. Let me know in the chat what you're working on. I think we're good. Have you checked the activity monitor? No, I don't know how to do that. I don't even know what you mean when you say that. And I'm generally pretty solid with computers. And I have a pretty industrial gaming computer for video editing and stuff like that. It's really never done this. And my internet just keeps dipping down. I do have I have Wi-Fi, and then I have guest Wi-Fi, and maybe during the sprint, if I think it's not going to totally crash, I might just try to switch over to the guest Wi-Fi and see if maybe that's just a little issue. Hopefully, maybe I'll do a quick Google search about the activity monitor, but I ended up closing all of my work stuff that I had open, all of it. So there's no other programs or anything running. It's just one YouTube video that I'm going to try to share in the stream. I'm still a little scared, but no matter what, we're going to be productive. I kind of like writing on paper anyway, so that might be a good place to do some brainstorming. This is the moment of truth, really. We're going to start this sprint at 29 minutes and 57 seconds because I refuse to back the video up for the sake of those 3 seconds. Full screen, this is what was doing it last time. Are we still good at full screen? We are. I don't like that I got blurry. We might have to deal with it being blurry. But just in case, we're gonna see if I can fix that real quick. I think that was too bold. I think I'm gonna stop sharing it, reboot it, and then do it again. Yeah, maybe a timer website that's not a video would be better. I mean, I can always just kind of like the videos and they're cute and they give me a good sense of things. But I know that Sarah Mae Sutton used to just put on a banner of when the timer ends, and I might have to just do that. So we're just gonna do Google timers now, which is heartbreaking, but it's a necessity. And then we'll go back to our cute timers next week. Oh, I actually think I can just share the Google timer too. Share screen, share screen, share window, share tab. Okay. What does that look like? Okay. I think this should probably work. It is way more lame, but we're going to do it. I might try to download some cute video timers next time. So yeah, thanks for that suggestion, Les. I forgot for a minute there that I didn't have to use cute YouTube videos. And if that doesn't tell you anything about my brain today, yeah. So hopefully I can be a little bit productive. Manic energy, like I said, but we're going to use it to our advantage because when you're writing fantasy, it is best to be as disconnected from reality as possible. But we're going to do 30 minutes of productivity, writing sprints, figuring out our projects. If you're jumping in and out, I see a lot of people have jumped in and out. Let us know where you're working in the chat. I think a lot of them are silent participants, which is always more than welcome. And I will see you guys in 30 minutes. Happy writing. All right. So that was the second productivity sprint. Went way smoother. Thanks, Les, for suggesting a non-video timer. I like to think I was pretty productive. Blurry finally calmed down next to me, so that was really awesome. I got my weekly spread pretty much all done, sketched out, and then inked and colored in. I did just roll this week into July because the beginning of next week is July 1st. Normally I do whichever month, like if it's split, whichever month has more days. But just because I think I told some of you guys, but I had a loss in my family, so I'm missing some bullet journal spreads, and that would have been the only July page. And I thought that would be weird, or the only June page. I'm sorry, and I thought that would be weird. So I just picked up at the beginning of July, and I'm gonna do warm colors, I think, for all of it. I got a lot of like oranges and reds and blacks and some like accent yellows that I'm going to be using for this month, which I'm really excited about. All I have left to do for the spread is I like to put a quote on each one of my like weeks, and then I can start separating my writing tasks. I usually just jot down my work schedule on each day, but that takes like half a second. So for anybody who wasn't here last week or needs a little catch-up reminder, so the plotter thing that I'm using to outline, you can pick a bunch of different like methods for planning and outlining there. The one that I picked for this book is the take off your pants method, and it has like a book that it was like taken from, this Libby Hawker book. So as soon as I seen that, I went and I got this. It was like $7 on Amazon. It was super cheap. Any excuse to buy a new book, you know. But like you guys seen Plotter, you don't really need the book to do the planning method, really, because they do give you a pretty good breakdown of what each step should be. But I decided that I wanted to do some outlining in Plotter, and then afterwards I wanted to go through and I wanted to read the book to see like what areas I can flesh out a little bit more, if there's maybe something that is explained a little bit further in the book. And it has some pretty like big font, so I don't think it's going to be a hard or a long read. So with this week's planner, I'm going to be planning out some milestones where like I want to plan or brainstorm this much in the planner plotter program. And then at certain milestones, I want to go through and read parts of the book. Now, the first like 50 to 60 pages or so are just like talking about planning in general. So it's this chapter that says the pants come off, beginning your outline starts on page 50. This is beginning your outline. So I'm thinking I'm going to start reading to page 50, even as I'm just like brainstorming and planning, just to sort of get my mind, you know, like in the right spot. But yeah, so I'm going to be breaking down just some like smaller tasks and goals that are a little bit more manageable in my planner, which is one of the reasons that I was okay with doing that for part of our sprint time. I also was just really scared to do anything on my computer because it is acting really funny. In the middle of the last sprint, it actually started raining. And I'm wondering if there's just like a storm getting ready to pass through, and that's why my internet's being a little bit buggy. But let me know what you're working on, and if you have any goals for the day or for the week, or if you have any project-specific goals. I would really like to have this outline. I wanted to say done by the beginning of July so that I can do, you know, the July Camp NaNoWriMo and be like really set up for it. But I don't necessarily know if the outline's going to be completely done by then. But I'd like to have it done enough that I feel comfortable writing. And I think done enough is like a weird, like, specific way to say like I want to be in a good spot to write, but like also you could always add to an outline. So I don't think it's going to be finished for a long time. And the reason is because I'll probably do the whole outline and then I'll want to like go back through and add more like details and notes. And as I'm writing, I'm going to be like fleshing out the magic system. Even though I am planning it, there's the plotter part of my brain. Even though I'm plotting it, the pantser part of my brain, is still going to be like inserting, you know, different tones, different characters, things that may or may not be necessary, things like that. But I'd like to have the general like bare bones of the arc done by the beginning of July. Les says having to hop off to go to the doctor again. Oh, I hope everything's okay. Yeah, we'll all be productive, but I hope you're productive too. I hope that it's not a stressful visit. Yeah, I hate going to the doctor. I have a doctor's appointment next week and I'm sad about it. I'm like pre-sad. It's like a whole week away and I'm already like, don't want to go. It just started raining a whole bunch, so that might end up messing with the audio a little bit, but I do want to jump into another sprint. We were supposed to be going from like 1:30 to 3:30, so it's right before 3 now. I'm thinking like maybe a 20 or 25 minute sprint, if you guys are okay with that. my scatterbrainness is giving me sort of like a no nonsense, have to be productive approach to this stream. Hope you guys don't mind. His little nose buried in my desk though is giving me life. I don't think he's ever been so well behaved on camera. But I'm gonna start a 25-minute sprint if nobody has complaints about that. Lots of silent visitors today, so I hope you guys are nailing your goals and being super productive. I'm just going to set up this Google timer again because basically anything else terrifies me at this point. So let's see. I'm probably going to find a quote to put on this bullet journal thing, and I'm going to find some breakdown for this book at the beginning of this next writing sprint. I might even just start reading, honestly, and just see how long it takes me to get through the first chapter because it's not that long. It's like 13 pages, and sort of use that as a good estimate. Yeah, I have so many little things that I want to do, and it's one of the reasons that I was breaking the planner out. I have so many little things that I want to do, and I have like no sense of organization yet for if there is like an order they need to be done in. Luisa says 25 minutes sounds good. I'm in the middle of a very tense scene. I both love that, and it both like gives me anxiety for you, but I hope that it unfolds dramatically in the most tasteful way. So I'm going to start with my quote for my planner, and then I'm going to start reading. My power just went out. I don't know if my power went out or my lights went out. It's still counting. Can you guys still hear me? I like never lose power where I am. That's so funny. Like rarely ever do I lose power. Huh. Well, it says I have internet and StreamYard is still up. That's so funny. So I guess the power of my house went out, but I still have internet. Okay, anyway, we're gonna start a writing sprint just in case I lose internet and the power goes out. I'll have time to fix that. So that's a little bit of comfort to me that it's not my computer being weird and it's not me not knowing how to work it. Clearly there's something electrical going on that I have no control over. I'm gonna share this timer. It just fits with the manic energy today. Raining in the dark, planning lots of things. I'm eating a tortilla that I cooked in the microwave and then ripped up. This is how genius is made. This is how good stories are told. Okay, 25 minutes of productivity. If for some reason I'm not live anymore, I'm gonna like get live somewhere as fast as possible, but just let me know in the comments if it disappears, and I should be able to get it on my phone because even if my Wi-Fi and everything goes out, I do have strong cell service right now. So I will see you guys in 25 minutes. Happy writing. All right, that was the end of our last sprint. Let me know what you guys are working on and how you're doing in the chat. I know that we don't have a whole lot of people still here. I feel like I did both a lot and a little bit in that sprint. So the quote that I picked for this next week for my bullet journal is setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. I thought that was really awesome. And then I went through and I made my game plan, a step-by-step how I want to approach my outlining planning compared to my reading. And I did it on a post note first. That way I can sort of you can see I already scratched things off so that I can rate it and then readjust it a little bit. And then I need to see how long each step will take. So I'm going to start with finishing fleshing out both characters. I've already picked their names. I already have a couple notes on them, but I'm going to get some more character details and stuff before I start digging into the outline. I want to brainstorm a few options for ways that I want to describe the premise. And this is very set in stone. If you were here last week, you'd know I don't have a whole lot of things planned out necessarily for this book. I have a general tone that I want to create and a general vibe, and I have a long list of different interactions and scenes that I want to incorporate it. So a lot of the beginning stuff is really up in the air, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to start streaming and doing all of this outlining together with you. So I have a couple ideas for premises, and I just haven't really nailed down one yet. So I want to just write them out in, clean, concise words. Then I'm going to read through page 34 in the book, and that is the first few chapters. They're the power of confidence, plotters, over pantsers, the core of every story, and the three-legged outline. So it's just the very general topics about outlining in general, and I thought that would get some of my creative juices flowing and get me in the mood for outlining and planning. Then after I do that, I'm going to update the outline based on anything that I've read in that section that I need. So the outline so far will be character notes, and then the description of the premise and a breakdown, a very simple breakdown of how I want the premise to sort of play out a little bit. So it's really just a baby outline, the beginning of a snowball method kind of outline at this stage. And then I'm going to fill out character arc information for both characters because you need to have good characters for the type of story you're telling and vice versa. So I'm really going to nail down some of the nitty gritty stuff when it comes to the premise. And then I'm going to revisit my character planning and update those characters to make them really the best people to tell the story. Then after I do that, I'm going to solidify any premise ideas or things that I have in mind now. Probably start a little separate little note section for that and plotter. Then I'm going to read through page 80. And that is two things for character arc. So it's character arc starting with the flaw, character arc making the flaw serious. So I've already solidified my characters at this point. So I planned that part independently using plotter and the information plotter is giving me. And then I'm going to read the book and update based on the book. That way I could sort of get a good sense of how helpful is plotter with and without the book. Then it goes to the pants come off, which is starting the outline. Character arc for your antagonist, character arc for your ally, and then zigging and zagging into the theme. And then after that, it's called beginning to spin, and it actually talks about breaking down the outline. So up until this point, that is all of the fore material that really gets you the building blocks you need to start outlining. So I've sort of just broken that part of the book up with the same kind of brainstorming that I want to do in my own head that I just wanted to have out before I started doing planning pretty seriously. And then my last item on my list was to make the plan from there, because I feel if I plan anything out past that point, it's going to change. And by the time I get there, it's going to be something totally different anyway. Casey Newbury said, loving plotter for my romance, using romancing the beat template, adding plot lines, external, internal, and arcs for the male and female main characters. Yeah. Honestly, this is my first time using plotter. I don't know if you use it regularly or if it's your first time using it for romance, but I absolutely love it. If you were here earlier, I shared my screen, and I feel every time I go to plan something, I just get excited about all the little notes options. So I'm using the take off your pants one for this, but you can add timelines that have different templates I found out in one project, and we were talking about that last week. So I picked take off your pants, and I thought since I also have a male main character and a female main character, I thought I would do one outline for one of them and one outline for the other of them and stagger, make it so they each have a separate and independent story, but they mesh well together. But you can add a template that is totally different onto the same timeline. And I'm thinking about choosing a different planning method for my male main character. I'm very excited for that. Add a line for time and add a line for conflict. Yeah, that's a good idea. Conflict in general. So I want my timeline view to sort of like look kind of consecutive order. So like I'll have my like normal template stuff, and then I want to have like maybe some subplot stuff, but then I want to have like notes sections maybe that gives me some extra information. Yeah, I'm loving the whole process. I'm still brainstorming really what I want to do. I'll probably like start something and then stop it and then start it again, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to, stream and start posting content again while I do it, because I knew that there are going to be a lot of people who either have used the program or just have like really great ideas of how to adjust things. But yeah, I'm bummed that you came in during the end of the last stream, because I want to hear more of your thoughts about Plotter. So if you're free next Monday, feel free to come visit again or bother me on Instagram and share what you're working on with your story. But yeah, I'm going to break up my little list of goals and stuff and add them to my planner for this week. And I would like to, like today, since we're getting ready to wrap up the stream in a few minutes here, I'd like to just go right into finishing fleshing out my characters and then putting my options for premises like in Word. I like just to have, like the concise. A lot of people go into like the book blurb at the beginning, and I don't really think that I'm one of those people, but I want to be able to describe it in 1 to 3 sentences and it to make sense. Like I want to be able to say those 3 sentences out loud and somebody's not like super extra confused. They might want to ask questions because they're interested. So that's my goal with that, really. I know it's going to change as I continue to outline, but I'm going to do that. And then the next step would be to read to page 34. And I feel like if I can knock all 3 of those things out today, that would be absolutely golden. All right. Thank you guys for bearing with me during all my power outage stuff too. I can't believe, so my lights, I guess the power just blinked is all it did, but my lights are connected to the Wi-Fi. So they're like color changing, like fancy lights, but I guess they needed to be reset after the power blinked, which is why I was still online, because my internet is like downstairs in another room, but like this breaker is totally separate. So that will forever be funny for me. Yeah. Okay. I feel like that's it. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I also feel like that's it. So, well, I guess I should, wrap it up officially. If we haven't met yet and you were here writing, thank you for coming and spending your productive time with me. I can't even speak English today. That's how crazy my brain is. My name is Madii. If you haven't been to Bound by Words before, I'm a freelance editor and I'm a full-time editor and a fantasy writer. I used to be a freelance editor, but now I do it full-time, even though I'm sort of like off my rocker today. This is Flurry. He is an important part of every video streaming process. He doesn't let me sit in the office and talk to myself. I think it concerns him a little bit. So we make sure he's in here like knocking everything over. So if you come back for another stream, I bet you'll see him probably in the exact same spot. I'm planning on streaming from 1 to 3 on Mondays for the time being, definitely through Camp NaNoWriMo. So I hope to see you again on another stream, and I hope all of your productive projects are going amazingly. I'm going to start posting content again this week on my channel. I'm really excited for that. So if you're interested, I highly recommend checking it out, or maybe even hitting the subscribe button so you get those notifications. But I will see you guys at next Monday, if not sooner, on another platform. Have a great rest of your week.